Hello?
Oh.
Hello.
Finally. Sorry, I'm so
That's okay.
sorry. Okay.
That's okay, that's okay. So, hello everyone.
Hi.
Sorry for the technical problems. So, let me share my screen with you. How do I do that?
Archie, I'm sorry.
Yes.
A little bit dark to see.
Yeah, but I'm gonna share my screen anyway, so it should be okay.
Okay.
Okay. Share start.
就请大家忍耐一下。
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I am going to go to my drive. Okay. And fall 2014. I have my spreadsheet. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, this is the wrong one. Hold on a second. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll pick up this week. I wanted to
Sorry,
pick up.
we couldn't see you.
Oh, but can you see my screen?
No.
No? Oh, it lost the video connection. Okay. Let me try that again. Share screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Start. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I think today we'll have we'll start with number 9, which is pivot tables. And
Sorry.
What happened? Did it
disappear again? The screen disappeared.
Oh, disappear again?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, you know what? You can just read number 9 is a pivot tables, and let me try to start that again. Did it work?
Yeah.
Are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so
Well,
I think
no.
did we lose it again?
Yeah.
Oh. What's wrong with the connection today? Well, maybe I can try to talk you through it. What is it? Wait, just tell me if you see the screen again. Did it work?
Yes.
No?
No.
Well, I think I can talk you all through. So what you should do is open up so we're going to do pivot tables today. And I think let's go to, if you go to the spreadsheet, the 15 key spreadsheet features practice spreadsheet, I think a lot of you are logged into that. And you go to the links tab, worksheet, and go to the link, the number A in cell A4. It says Wikipedia of townships, cities, and districts of Taiwan. And click on that link.
Archie.
Yeah. Are you able to do that?
We could hear your voice, but we couldn't see anything on the screen.
Yeah, I don't. It seems like the connection is not strong today or something, because I keep turning it on, but it keeps turning off. Try to share.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking they could do. Yeah. So is everyone able to go to that link?
Yes.
Okay. So if you look in that, so if you look in this, here's a table of all the towns and cities and districts in Taiwan. And if you just keep scrolling down, you'll see it's a pretty long list. So we're going to highlight the whole list. So the thing you need to be careful when you highlight is select to the left of the table, and then just drag all the way down and select the whole table. It's kind of slow. Computer.
你如果知道，你就跟大家讲一下哈。大家互相帮忙一下哈。
Mine is taking a little while to scroll all the way down, but I'm getting close. Okay, come on. Okay, so once you've selected the whole table, click copy, and then go to your spreadsheet. I'm going to open up a new tab, and let's call it Taiwan Towns. So if you notice in the bottom, there's now a Taiwan Towns tab of our practice spreadsheet. I'm going to paste in the page from the Wikipedia entry. Do you guys see that in there? So if you look in the practice spreadsheet, you'll see now there's a Taiwan Towns tab, and you'll see the table pasted in there. Does everyone see that? Let's try.
对，我晓得，对，现在就是不知道，可他又不是叫我们贴上啊。对。你们有看到 Archie 做的吗？有啊。Yes.
You ever see that? Okay. All right. So one of the things that you have to do when you do a pivot table is you'll need to have a column. You have a name for every column of your table. So if you look, and I think we'll want to simplify these names just to make it easier for us to do our table. So if you look in the first cell, A1, it's actually merged together with B1 because that's the way they merged it together on the web page. But so we're going to unmerge it. So if you click on the cell A1, and then you're going to go to Format, and then on the Format menu, there's something called Merge Cells, and we're going to choose Unmerge. And now the A1 and B1 become separate cells. This is pretty hard to do. Caroline,
yeah?
Did you want to try the Google Hangout? Would you like to try that?
Yeah, we have tried, but not successful.
But
I can see your face right now.
You can't see it right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me try sharing the screen again. Okay. Do you see my screen now?
Yeah.
A small screen.
Okay. All right. How about now? Do you see the spreadsheet?
Yeah. We could see.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry.
So
we couldn't.
Oh. It keeps going away. All right.
Archie, you suggest us to change into Google Hangout?
Well, just because it's pretty hard to do this without people seeing what I'm doing. And let's try that. Caroline, can you just, which email address should I invite you to a Hangout?
First, there's one student, he has a suggestion to share. Please just wait for a minute, okay?
Yeah, it works.
Okay.
It works? Okay, great. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so let me go back to. I'll just start over because I think it'll be easier if I just start over. Please. Okay, so I'm going to go back to. Okay, so I have this web page, and I've highlighted all of the lines of the table. Then I'm going to copy it. Then I'm going to go to my practice spreadsheet, and I will add a new sheet. And I'm going to call it Taiwan Towns. And then I will paste the data into there. So now you can see the data is pasted in there. So one of the first things I want to do is I'm going to want to make sure there's a column label for every column, and also make the column label simple because it'll make our pivot table a little bit easier to work with. So if you notice the column heading for columns A and columns B is merged together, and I want to unmerge that. So I'm going to click on cell A1 and B1. I'm going to go to Format, Merge Cells, and then Unmerge. And that will split up the cells. And so now if you see the name is on the one side, and I'll put Chinese name on the other side. And then I'm just going to check all the other headings. I'm just going to make it just a little simple. The area heading, the population density. Okay, so I just had simplified our headings. I'm also going to go and just while I'm scrolling on the table, I want to just see the column headings all the time. So I'm going to go to View, Freeze Rows, and freeze the first row. That way, as I scroll, I can always see the headings. Pivot tables, and I think pivot tables is one of the powerful spreadsheet tools. How many people in the class have used spreadsheets? Have used the pivot tables before? Anybody?
Yes.
Caroline, has anybody used the pivot tables?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, like most people, or just some?
Two or three.
Caroline, how many people have used the pivot tables before?
Everyone, right?
Oh, everyone has?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, great. So so maybe I'll just tell you some of the helpful things I think are like tips in creating a pivot table. Like one of the most important things I think when you create a pivot table is to think about the design of the table, what you want the table to look like when you're done, before you start the pivot table command. So I think one analysis I'd like to do is to look at how much land area there is in each district. So what I'm going to do is I want to have I want to have a list of all the districts in my rows, and then I want to have the total area for each district in the number part. So actually, you know what? Maybe I won't do district. You know what I'll do is I'm going to do it. The column says part of. That looks like it's like the metro area. Is what that column is. So let's call this metro area. So I want to look at the area, how much area there is for each metro area. So one of the things I like to do is what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all the columns of my table. So I clicked on A and then selected all the way to column H. Then I'm going to go to the data menu and go to pivot table report. And remember, I want my rows to be my metro areas, so I'm going to add the field for my rows to be metro area. And then I want my values to be the sum of all the areas for each metro area. So I'm going to add field and click on area. And if you look at it, it says summarize. You can summarize it by lots of ways, like sum, counting, averaging. But I want the sum because I want to get the total area. So if you look now we have, like for each metro area, like Changhua County or Chiayi City, you have the number of square kilometers in each place. And this list this looks like there's about 23 different metro areas total. So that's a pretty nice way. But I like to count up how many different districts. How many different districts are in each metro area? So I'm going to do a count. So this one, let's call this pivot table that we just created. Let's call that the area. And then let's go back to Taiwan towns. We're going to do another pivot table. So I'll go to data, and then I'll do pivot table report. And I want to count the number of districts in each metro area. So I'll go to add fields, and I'm going to say for each metro area. And then for values, I'm going to put in the districts, the name, and then I'm going to count up the number of names there are. So to count A, which is count for alphabet, so alphabetical count. And then, so if we look, now we have a number for each area here that shows the number of districts in each place. So Changhua County has 26 districts. Chiayi City has 2 districts. Chiayi County has 18 districts. So this is a nice way, number of districts. So I'm going to name that tab so we know what it is. So I think how does that sound to everyone? Was that pretty straightforward? Hi, Caroline.
Yeah.
Did everyone seem to understand that, or was that, or?
大家了解阿奇说的吗 ？Yes, we all understand.
You understand? Okay. So what I'd like to do, I think the exercise I'd like to do next is to take the table that we just copied over, and let's figure out the number of people that live in each metro area. Okay? Okay. So you'll want to do a pivot table of the population by metro area. So when we take 2 minutes and do that, everyone does it and see if we get the right answer.
Okay. 就请大家多2分钟，了解有多少人住在 metro area。好了的举手给我看一下好吗？好，还有同学加油。所以妹也可以跟于芳讨论一下。郑远跟嘉熙好了吗？有问题？任可不可以帮一下？任远跟嘉熙这边。什么了？中原好了吗？都好了吗？可不可以举个手给我看好了的？好，谢谢。所以任远跟嘉熙好了吗？方好了吗？
Okay, you ready? So I'm gonna walk through how I would do it, and then you tell me if you get the same answer. So I'm gonna highlight all the columns again. Then I go to the data menu and go to pivot table report. And in my rows, I'll add metro area. And then in values, I will say population. And I want to summarize it by sum. So let's check our answers. So for Changhua County, did you get 1.29 million?
是吗?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And then Kaohsiung City, 2.778 million.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Good. All right. So you guys are pretty advanced at it. You already can do that.
Too
Very
easy
good.
for us.
Very, very good. Very good. Okay. Well, I think since you guys already understand the pivot tables, I think maybe what we'll do next is we will do, we'll look at some of the functions. So one of the things that I think, 10 through 15 are some of the most common functions that I use when I'm doing analysis. And the first one, number 10, it takes data that can be kind of messy. So sometimes you get data from the internet, like on the web, and you don't realize, but it'll have like spaces before or after of the name of a place. And when you're trying to match it up with something else, it causes the match to fail. So let me give you an example of how this works. So for example, let me open up a new tab. If I write graphics, or let me write square, triangle, circle, and so if for example I have like the word square and I put a space after it. Actually, you want to combine this with another one. So let's take a look at it. So there's another function called length, which is len. So I'm going to type equals len, and then say A1, and it counts the number of characters in that cell. So if you look at A1, A2 has 7 characters, and I'm going to copy the formula down. And triangle has 8 characters, and circle has 6 characters. But if I look at square, if I count the characters, you can see it only really has 6 letters. And so this number is not correct. Well, why? Because in that cell actually has a space after the letter E. If I add another space, or another couple places, you will see that it has it is registering the length of that cell as being more than the actual letters. But when I do matches with data that I get from the internet or data that I get from different sources, I need to make sure I'm just matching just that word. Otherwise, it won't match if it has extra spaces at the end. So what I can do is I can take A2, and instead of just having it, and add a trim function to it. So if I type trim around A2, it will remove all the spaces from the beginning or the end of the word. So now if I type equals length trim A2, it will say the correct number of letters. Okay, so let's put in some other stuff. So in this column, let's type in Taiwan, China, Japan, Korea, and I'm going to put in some spaces around some of these words. Whoops. So if you notice, there's some extra spaces here. So if I type equals trim and put it around Taiwan, it will clean up all those spaces and get rid of all the extra spaces that are at the beginning or the end of the word. Okay. So So that's like this very important when you want to like match things. So another thing I'm going to do here is if I copy these cells E2 through E5, and I paste it here. Unless I want to paste it over here, and I paste it over here, the cells come up blank. But if you look in the cell, it still has that formula. But because it's using the relative address, it's pointing just to the cell next to it. But what if I want to paste the cleaned up words, Taiwan, China, Japan, and Korea? If I wanted to paste a cleaned up word, so I copy this, and I click in the place where I want to paste it. And instead of just pasting, I'll go to Edit, Paste Special, and Paste Values Only. And that one, when I paste, it actually pastes the result of the formula into the cell instead of just the formula. Does everyone see the difference? So if I copy this here and just paste, just a regular paste, it puts a formula in there, but because the formula is referring to an empty cell, just as blank. You see that? So if I want to paste the actual like contents of the cell, then I copy it, and then I go to my destination and I go to Edit, Paste Special, Paste Values. So that's something that's really useful when you're trying to copy and paste something and you realize, hey, nothing is showing up. It's probably because you're pasting the formulas and you need to paste the values, so you get your results. The nice thing about these results is that they're cleaned up. They don't have any spaces before or after the words. If you remember, so I put these spaces here in the beginning and end of these words. But when I paste the values, because we use a trim function, now they're all cleaned up. So we've done trim, we've done length, and then the if function. So if you've done some programming, you're probably familiar with if functions. So let's write a function here. Let's say equals if. And so one thing I didn't explain earlier about functions, but all functions have a keyword. So the keyword for the if function is if, and then it has a like inputs that you put into the function, and the inputs are all surrounded by parentheses. So I'm going to type of open parentheses, and I'm going to say if the cell next to this is equal to Taiwan, then I put a comma, and the if function has three different parameters, like inputs. So the first input is the condition or the test that you want to have. So I want to say test if the cell next to me is equal to Taiwan. And then you put a comma, and you put the next input. The next input is if that condition is true, then I'm going to say yay. And if the condition is false, I'm going to say oh. Okay, all right. So and then I end my function with the closed parentheses. So the if function lets you do a test. So in this case, my test is E2 equals Taiwan. Does that cell next to me equal Taiwan? If it does, then literally put in the word yeah, yay. Or if it's not, then put in the word all. So I'm going to paste this formula down, and then so now you can see how the test was applied to each one. So that's the if function. Okay. So now let's go to, I think, last week we did some text formatting, but I'll just review it real quickly. Do some more. Let's put some numbers in here. So the text function is pretty useful. So I put in 9, 2. So if I want to format the 9 so it has it's like a code number with like a 00 in front of it, I can type equals text and then the first input for the function is the cell that you want to format, and then I write a comma, and then the next input is the like the number format that I want to use. So I'm going to put always have it have 3 digits, and if it's like a small number, they'll put zeros in the beginning. So I'll just put 000. So we'll always have 3 digits, and that way it'll format as 009. Actually, let's do it more with more zeros. So, and then we'll copy that all the way down. So you can see how it formatted all 3 of those cells. So this time, let's say I want to format it as a percentage. So I'll type equals text, take the cell, comma, and I'll say 0%. And then that will allow me to format this as a percentage. So the way that you can tell what to put in here, where the in the commas and in the quote marks, like what the format is, you can go to the format menu, and if you go to the number and then go to more formats, and then go to custom number format, it tells you what the formats look like. So all these like these, the characters here on the side tell you how to write the format for these things. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's a fun format. So this red instruction. So if I have a negative number, I can say, let's see if it works. Okay. So minus 12. So let's say equals text A11. If it's positive, I'll have, let's make it green. And negative, make it red. Oh, hold on a second. Whoops. The number 0, 0. Oh, maybe the colors don't work on the, let's see. Oh, you know what? The colors don't work on the thing. You have to do it. They don't work in the text function. But, sorry. So here I just like separate. If I want positive numbers to appear one way and negative numbers to appear another way, you just put it. You separate the positive from the negative with a semicolon. So it'll put like you separate the format with a semicolon. So the text function is it's a pretty handy tool when you're trying to get something to output to, like if you're doing a web graphic and you want it to be formatted a certain way. It's kind of handy to have, like, use a text function to build your string that you put into your web page. So the next function, number 14, I think is, besides pivot tables, maybe like the second most important function that you might use, because it lets you bring together different tables with different types of data in them. So let's go to our links tab, and let's pull up the list of cities in Taiwan. And let's copy this table here that says the top 25 most populous cities in Taiwan. So I'm going to just highlight this whole table and copy that. And then I'm going to go to my practice spreadsheet and I'm going to open up a new tab. Town info. I'm going to paste the data in. So if you look at our table, it says like the type of place it is. So New Taipei City is a special municipality. Hsinchu City is a provincial city. So I want to get this information into my pivot table. So every place where I have like a city here, I want to have like a little column here that tells me what type of place it is. So So this is going to be the table that I'm looking up. And one of the like really useful things to do when you're creating a lookup table is to name the table, like give it a name. So I'm going to highlight the cells that I want to use for my table. So I'm going to highlight columns B through D, and the first column that you have in your table should be the table, like the cells that you can be looking up. So like these the names in B2 are the things I'm going to be using to look up to fill in the type of town it is. So I've highlighted the columns B through D, and I'm going to go to Data, and go to Named Ranges. And I'm going to call these three columns in this table, I'm going to call it Town Type. Okay, so now I have Town Type, and I'm going to go to my table, pivot table. Let me see which one I should use. Pivot table 3, and this was population. So I'm going to call it population. I'm going to write a function to look up the city here in my town type and put the type here. So let's put the heading for that. So I'll type. So the function that we're going to use again is the VLOOKUP function. This function here, VLOOKUP. So I'm going to type equals VLOOKUP, and I'm going to look up the name over here in the A2, and in my table called town type. So that was that named 3 columns that I named just a minute ago, and then the third input for this function is the column that you want to get the data out of. And so I just remember that it's column 3, but I'll show you in a second. I'll go back and show you. And then the last one is the type of match, if I want to get an exact match or a closest match. And for almost all lookups that I use, I want an exact match. So I'm going to type in false, which means give me an exact match. So close parentheses. And the first one is not going to find it because there are no counties listed in my lookup table. But if I copy to the next one, it should give me the type. So I'm going to copy this formula all the way down. And every place where it's a city, it should put in the type of city it is. You see that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So let me go back to the town. Let me go back to the town infos work tab. And so if you remember, like our town type named range is B, C, and D. And so when I put in that 3 into the formula, that means it's a third column that I want to return back. So the first column is the thing that I'm looking up. The second column is I don't want to return that, but the third column is the type. So that's why in this population, that's why in this formula I put 3 here. That's the column number that I wanted to return. So let's get a little bit fancier. So one of the things that I don't like is having all these NAs, and it just makes the data messier to deal with. So I want to write my formula so I don't have to have the NA in there. So I'm going to say if this whole thing that I'm looking up returns an error, then give me back a blank. Otherwise, put in the whole lookup again. So this is a pretty common formula that I use when I'm doing lookups, because you'll often get errors when they can't find something in the table, and you don't want to have to deal with all those NAs when you're bringing that table into a database. So now when I copy this formula all the way down, all my NAs end up just being blank, and I just have data where I want my data. So here I'm combining the if function, the isError function, and the VLOOKUP function into one formula to give me this table. So I think maybe what would be a good exercise is if you took let's take the Taiwan towns, the population table, And why don't you join in if you can copy that. Do you guys have this set up in your own spreadsheets right now, or are you just doing it following along in my spreadsheet?
So you mean what's your question? Could you repeat it again?
Well, it would be nice to do like a little lookup as an exercise.
Yeah.
To bring in the Chinese name into the table, so we can see the Chinese name in addition. So maybe we'll write Chinese name here. And do you want to do it on your own, or do you want to do it together? Do you guys want to try it? Yeah. So I think if you can write the lookup that puts in the Chinese name here from this table, so it brings in this column.
这个东西呢是
现在我找到了那他的意思是说，如果这个东西是出现中间的话，那如果真的是这样的话，你就输入这个字；那如果不是，你就输入这个字。所以以这个例子来说，true的话，那就是之前我们的 query；那如果是 false 的话，就是2个2在 join 好，然后是全体传上。好，试试看，问题在哪里？
Do you guys should we try it?
所以好了吗？还没有好的举个手给我看。
Okay.
Okay, please wait with one more minute. Thank you.
All right.
我现在要找对不对？那我现在是找中文。好，那我先把这个 NA 拿掉。那 NA 拿掉的话，你可以做什么？意思就是告诉你说，如果这个条件是对的，你要做什么事情？那这里来说，你要 disable。我要看这个是。那如果是 A 的话，那我是不是就输出一个？那如果不是的话，那又可以再来弄个。
推荐你那边都好了。还没有好的举个手给我看，没有关系，还没有好的。好，再一位。麻烦你协助一下思允好吗？哦，然后
什么意思？
哎，好。
OK， 思允好吗？哦，不是思允，这是猪。
哦，就是符合那如果有的话，我就对对对，然后
不知道为什么我的 range 不想用，看到如果我在我的范围里面把这3个选起来的话就可以。可是我
Okay, should we try it?
Yeah, actually we are.
Okay. All right. Okay, so let's try it. So here's how I would do it. I would type. So I've already named my range here to be town type. And then I'll go to my population tab where I want to add the Chinese name, and I'll type equals VLOOKUP, and I want to look up the name of the town in the table town type, and I want to return the third column, and I want it to be an exact match, so I put false. So pretty much always put false in the lookups because you almost always want the exact match. So let's put it in. And, oops. Oh, I'm sorry. And then I want the Chinese name, which is not the third column. I want the second column. So I'll go back to here and put the second column. And there we go. Now I have the second column. But now when I copy this and paste this to the rest of my table, I get those annoying NA things. So let's adjust this formula so it doesn't happen. So I'm going to type if this lookup creates an error, then return a blank. Otherwise, do the lookup. So it seems like it's a little redundant, but it actually makes the output look nice. It doesn't take up a lot of memory. So just go here, and I'll paste it all the way down. So now I have my formula that has the Chinese name next to the place type. So, did you guys get the same thing?
Yes. Got it.
Yes.
Yes. Good. Okay. All right. So I think it's actually everything that I have in my list. So if you've already mastered that, then you're already very advanced. So it sounds like you guys are doing really, really well already. So.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think I hope you have you practice with the exercises as you do your work through the semester. But if you use a spreadsheet, if you have questions about the formulas, you can always send me an email, or I think Caroline has said that you have a lot of helpers also in the class.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, we will.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'll sign off, and I'll talk to you guys in a few weeks.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay. Bye bye. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.